The only thing I have to say about Mr. Ford is that he needs help. I hope to God his family gets him that help. It is beyond sad now. Look, Rob Ford says a lot of silly things. I think most of us have tuned him out. I'm pretty sure the police have tuned him out. If you still believe something Rob Ford tells you, you ought to get a drug test.
Kind of makes you wonder when they were believing him if they were mistaken. Joining us now to talk more about this, Brent Stafford, the CEO of Shaky Egg Communications. You are a communications expert. If you were advising Rob Ford based on the latest revelations, what would you tell him?
Unfortunately, the best advice would have been advice he got right after the allegations came out, and that was to resign, do what men do, and that's man up, and go get some help. And he probably would have kept his job. Now there's no hope for him.
Really?
No.
He's done?
Done.
Even if no criminal charges are laid?
Well, when you look at it, when the allegations first came out, and then even right after he admitted it, most people looked at it from a basic moral perspective in that, hey, it's simply bad to have sitting politicians smoking crack. That's unacceptable. Right? But now you have the other shoe's dropped, and that really is the blackmail issue, which was always there, and now that's come to the front. And it's damning, it's dangerous when sitting politicians who have influence, control over a massive city budget, the ability to direct political influence, the ability to direct police action. And when that office is compromised, like we've seen that it has been, the integrity's gone from the systems.
Well, it's interesting because these revelations are new information to the public, but clearly this was happening months ago. Does City Hall have any responsibility to go back and look over decisions that were made in the past when he potentially was in a drunken stupor or, hungover or feeling the latent effects of smoking crack?
I think not only should they be doing that and looking at stuff that he influenced, they should also be taking a check on themselves. Clearly, there's no way that the people around Rob Ford hadn't been seeing these signs and behaviors. People were letting things slide to allow him to get to this point.
Exactly. And so what does that say about the people around the mayor and in potentially important roles at Toronto's City Hall?
Well, it's kind of tough. What we know about addiction as a disease is that it's both pervasive and progressive. Pervasive meaning that it affects everything in your life. It affects the people around you, your friends, family, the people you work with. And progressive meaning that it will progressively get worse, right? And so he's smoking crack. It is no stretch of the imagination or surprise to find out that potentially it could be heroin now too, as we learned today. So.
The huzza.
The huzza. The drugga and the huzza.
I loved Harrison Mooney, a local friend of ours, tweeted out he was trying to Google Rob Ford and huzza and Hezbollah. Coming up. So let's talk about social media because this had really died down for Rob Ford. Obviously, he has very little power left at City Hall. American television shows had stopped making fun of him, but now this was instantly all over social media again. We've got some examples of tweets from some Toronto city councillors, Karen Stintz and Jay Robinson, addressing the developments. Folks, I have nothing left to hide. That was back on November 5th. Karen, it's evident that council's actions to limit the mayor's powers were correct. Jay Robinson, more evidence mayor's been misleading Toronto for months. Confirms TOC council made right decision to move him out of the spotlight. Yeah, it's interesting. James Keller, Doug Ford's response to the new Rob Ford docs. You have 1 year to take us down, by the way. Wow.
Unbelievable.
There's something going on in that family, isn't there?
The family's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, we're allowed to have opinion on this show, right?
Yes, you are.
Wow,
yeah.
Goodness. I mean...
Well, his mom and sister came out very early on in all of this and said, no, the mom said, no, he doesn't have a problem. If I thought he had a problem, I'd be driving him to get treatment.
It's classic enabling.
And denial.
And denial. And what we know, there was a very in-depth story that was done by the Globe and Mail in the summertime that took a good look at the history of the Fords and their relationship to drugs and the alleged drug actions of Doug, who was a big hash dealer in the day, right? And so his entire family, for most of his life, has in some way or another been wrapped around alcohol and drug abuse. So.
Isn't that interesting? But trying to live sort of on the, power, clean, corporate ladder side, which clearly the two don't mix right now.
Well, absolutely not. And that's why, if he had left and got some help, people would have respected that and he probably would have kept his job. But now there's just no hope.
Ground this right into the dirt. All right, Brent Stafford, Shaky Egg Communications, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Joe.
Coming up next, tonight's Here's the Deal with Darryl Parker, Sachi Curl, and Lee Chuckstead. We're talking about a sexual harassment suit from an employee at a well-known mattress store. And a lot of schools across BC have to make difficult decisions based on funding shortfalls. But is it even reasonable to expect a school to operate on a budget of $65 grand?